Ukraine officially ends its combat mission in Mariupol as its soldiers lay down arms and Russia has taken another territory. So we'll talk just briefly a bit about what's happening there. Joe Biden is under fire right now for the fact that he is going immediately to Buffalo and has avoided places like New York in the wake of the terrorist shooting and Waukesha in the wake of it was a car that ran people over. It definitely wasn't the person driving. So we'll talk just a bit about what happened with that and where that goes. Twitter does not believe in free speech. An engineer is recorded saying that they do indeed censor the hell out of right-wingers and leave left-wingers alone. And, of course, that was exposed by Veritas Leak, so we'll talk just a bit about what's going on with that and where that goes. And a mom exposes a secret gender club telling kids to lie to their parents. It is going to be all this and more. You're just mad you can't date me. I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary.
Keep going. Fine.
Good morning, Edheads. Welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar, and we have got another packed show. They got to pack all that news in there so they can distract you and make sure that you're staying panicked, uncomfortable, hateful of what the evil right wing will do. And they will tell you all the problems that the right wing is having with the country. So strap yourselves in. We're going to see this up until Election Day and probably after, especially if it does not go the way that the mainstream media wants, which, by the way, it is looking more and more like that's going to be what happens. So strap yourselves in. We're in for another 6 months of just this. I hope you guys enjoyed. But before we get started, head on over and check out turnsofpagesproductions.com, which I don't have queued up right now. We will be carrying great shows such as the Daily Ignoramus, the Breakdown with Birkenhoff, the Already Conservative, the Freckles and there's no Freckles and Brit Show, the Porch Boys, our new project, whichever Brit comes up with, and a new guest that'll be joining our network as soon as we get launched. It does look like there is going to be the Brian Nichols appearance coming up here soon. I've got to coordinate with him, but I got a message back from him finally, so we'll see what happens, and we'll see if we can get a date out for that. So definitely go and check that out. Check out Brian, even if it doesn't work out with him. Brian is a great voice for freedom. So if you have not checked out the Brian Nichols Show, definitely go and check that out. TBNS. Go and check him out over there. Brian Nichols over on Twitter as well. So go and check that out. And yeah, if you do want to help us out, the webpage, the Give Send Go, is givesendgo.com/turnsofpages101 to go and help us. Make sure that we get our web developer paid. We like Bobby Joe around here. We want to make sure that she gets paid for the work that she does. So definitely go and check that out, turnsofpagesproductions.com, and let's get into the news. Starting with the Dow, which ended very, very slightly up yesterday, and it's looking like the futures are looking up yet coming in again today. The Dow ending at 32,223.42, and that is after it dropped at the beginning of the day. It tried to climb its way back and then clawed its way back down once again, closing just above the previous close for the day. Looking in at your Bitcoin, Bitcoin is up to $30,309.90, a slight drop from yesterday after a major drop and then a slight rise once again. So looking in and watching the Bitcoin continue to fluctuate and fly, but staying around a very, very steady mark. We will continue to see what happens and where that goes. And, well, if it starts dropping out, that means a lot of common America is starting to look for cash in a hurry, so we'll see what happens with that. Speaking of cash in a hurry, looking at the gas prices, we got a new low price leader coming off of this. The Quick Trip in DeForest is posting at $3.98 per gallon, but they are an anomaly among the area. The Costco in Sun Prairie is up to $4.07. That's up from yesterday. The Quick Trip in Sun Prairie is up to $4.07. That one is up from yesterday. The Mobile in Portage is up to $4.08. That is significantly up from yesterday. And the Amico in Madison, the Quick Trip in Token Creek, and the Woodmans in Sun Prairie are all up to $4.09 in the Madison area, which means it's good looking like I'm going to be going and filling the rest of my tank here right after work. So, and I suggest that you guys do the same. And if you can find any way to get a little bit in reserve, especially if you've got a vehicle with a smaller tank, I would start looking into that now too, because it really does look like it's only going to go up from here. What's nice is if I go finish filling up right now, I won't have to fill up again until July. And we'll continue to watch and see where the gas prices go. So that's where they are at right now. Remember, these are local prices. Your prices may vary, be higher, most likely not lower in your area, but go and check that out. All right, let's see what Investors Business Daily has to say. Dow futures jump as stock market rally attempt continues. Musk Twitter deal still happening? It's possible. From Scott Latonin, Dow futures were higher on Monday as the stock market rally attempt continues. Elon Musk and Twitter continue to engage in debate over the number of fake accounts on the social media site. Looking ahead, Home Depot and Walmart earnings are due out at the end of Tuesday's market open, and Fed Chair Jerome Powell will give a speech later on Tuesday. Take-Two was a key earnings mover after the close. Take-Two stock rallied around 3% in extended trade. Elsewhere, Dow Jones stock, Home Depot, and Walmart, along with JD.com, On, and C are among the companies reporting on Tuesday morning. Ahead of Tuesday's open, Dow futures rose 1.2% versus fair value, while S&P 500 futures moved up 1.5%. NASDAQ futures gained 1.9% versus fair value, and remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. The 10-year yield dropped to 2.87% on Monday as it continues to pull back since trading as high as 3.16% last week. Meanwhile, oil prices jumped more than 3% with Texas Intermediate crude above $114 a barrel. The price of WTI crude is at its highest point since late March. So on that, I do want to go a little bit further into this. Usually I don't look at the stock market today section, but I wanted to look just at this for a little bit because you're talking about the Twitter stock. On Monday, the Dow Industrial Average inched higher while the S&P moved down 0.4%. The tech-heavy NASDAQ sold off at 1.2%. Among the ETFs, the NASDAQ tracker Invesco QQQ slid 1.2%, and the SPDR S&P 500 moved down 0.4% on Monday. Twitter stock plunged 8.2% on Monday, as Musk said a Twitter deal is not out of the question, but potentially at a lower price. The comment comes as Musk and Twitter chief executive Parag Agrawal spar over the number of fake accounts on Twitter. Musk is committed to paying $54.20 a share. Twitter shares closed at $37.39 on Monday, below April 1st's closing price of $39.31 on April 4th. Twitter soared to more than 23% after Musk reported owning a 9.2% passive stake in the social media company, becoming its largest shareholder. So that's important. Not only to the shareholders, not only to Musk, but to the shareholders. And I think that this is a part of his strategy, to be completely honest. And I do think he's going to wind up paying less for this. Part of the problem with Twitter is right now it is an advertiser-driven platform. And if Musk is throwing the light on the fact that advertisers are not going to as many users, because as of right now, robots don't buy things. This is not like Futurama where Bender sits at the bar and guzzles down beer and then spits back out fire. Robots don't buy things. So if more than 5% are fake accounts, multiple accounts, botted accounts, etc., which is very likely, especially when you look at big accounts like the presidency, or the big news companies who have massive followings but get almost no interaction with their posts. you start to realize that, hey, there might be something else going on here, and that's going to be the same with the investors. Now, Musk is looking to take this private so the platform doesn't depend so much on advertisers, but for the investors who are in right now, when it is driven by advertising, now you have to wonder, is my investment really worth anything? So that's what we're seeing the Twitter drama right now. Let's grab one quick from Market Watch. It's going to be this one, not this one. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. And let's look at this one here. Dow futures up nearly 400 points ahead of retail sales and comments from Fed's Powell. From Barbara Kohlmeyer. U.S. stock index futures surged on Tuesday, with technology sector leading the way higher ahead of a batch of economic data, including April retail sales and comments from several Federal Reserve speakers, including Chairman Jerome Powell, later in the session. That's what we were down here. What's driving the markets? Investors look determined to shake off a rough start to the week, with NASDAQ futures surging after a bullish session in Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index, HSI, which closed up 3.2%. Shares of the retailing giant Walmart fell 7% in pre-market trading after it reported a fiscal first quarter profit that missed expectations. It's because a lot of people are starting to realize how shitty Walmart is, and a lot of people are stopping going there. Plus, a lot of people have a lot less spending money to go back and buy frivolous things. What's nice about Walmart, especially for investors, is the fact that, yes, you can go there for your groceries, and it's usually your lowest price on groceries. I was kind of bummed when I had to stop shopping there just because they had to get on their soapbox, because for groceries, they're usually 3 to 5% lower than every place else in the area. Plus, once you go to Walmart, you're in there and like, oh, well, little Sally needs a new t-shirt, so let's go over into there and get her a new t-shirt. Oh, I could really use a new candle over there. It's really easy to go pack your cart with a bunch of stuff that you didn't plan to go for when you went to your weekly grocery shopping trip. And the investors see that, but again, even if people aren't going there to go and pick up their frivolous stuff, or I'm sorry, if they're still going there to pick up their groceries, they're looking at their checkbook and saying, man, I could really use that pair of hedge clippers, but man, I just don't have the money for it right now. So yeah, I can see, especially in a rough inflation economy, where people are starting to look at this and say, yeah, cool, I'll still go get my groceries there, but it's not going to happen anymore. So that's what we see coming off of that. All right, let's keep going. U.S. listed shares of China tech names rallied, with Pinduoduo and Tencent Music Entertainment Group each up 7% in pre-market, Alibaba up over 6%, and NetEase gaining over 3%. JP Morgan raised the rates for the stocks of 7 Chinese tech firms on Monday to overweight from underweight. Only in March, analysts at the bank had called the sectors uninvestable, said Neil Wilson, chief market analyst for Markets.com, in a note to clients. Market watchers have been trying to determine whether stocks have fallen enough to warrant a bounce for hard-hit equities, notably in the tech sector. Bank of America's May Global Fund Manager, released Tuesday, showed the highest cash level since September 11, 2001 attacks in the U.S., the biggest short position on tech stocks since August 2006, and the biggest equity underweight since May of 2020. And this, of course, all ahead of the retail sales. So a lot of stuff that is moving right now. For some reason, they're thinking it's looking good, but I don't know. I think there's some honk going on in the markets, and we'll see what happens with there. We'll continue to watch and see where the numbers go. Let's talk about Mariupol. Starting with CBS. Siege Mariupol over, as Russia says Ukraine's holdout forces from steelworks have surrendered. I have no author given on this one. Efforts were underway Tuesday to evacuate the last of the Ukrainian forces, who spent weeks holed up inside of Azovstal Steel. They're the Azovs! In the ruined port city of Mariupol, Ukrainian officials said the fighters had completed their mission, and there was no way the country's forces could free the plant from Russia's grasp by military means. Russia called it a surrender, and there was no doubt that Moscow and its proxy forces in Ukraine were in full control of the strategic southern port city, even if much of it had been razed to the ground. Yeah, that's kind of funny to look at as a victory. Yes, we won! Look, comrades, we won! There's nothing left. We have nothing but bare land, but we won! Ah, ah, ah! CBS News correspondent Deborah Pata reports the fighters held out for 82 days under brutal conditions in the steelworks, becoming a collective symbol of Ukraine's resistance and Russia's merciless tactics in the war. But overnight, dozens of buses were seen leaving the plant carrying bedraggled horses away, many in urgent need of medical care. They were taken under escort by pro-Russian forces to territory held by those rebels, with Ukrainian hoping for a prisoner exchange while the rescue attempts continued for those still underground. The Ukrainian military avoided using the term surrender to describe the effort to pull out of the steel plant, but Russia declared it just that. I mean, I'm just armchair generaling here. Where's my arms? There you go. But sure as hell sounds like a surrender to me. Over the past 24 hours, 265 militants laid down arms and surrendered, including 51 heavily wounded. The Russian Ministry of Defense announced in a briefing on Tuesday, saying that those in need of medical care were transferred to a hospital in the pro-Russian rebel-held town of Novozaysk. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said the evacuation to separatist-controlled territory was done to save the lives of fighters who endured the weeks of Russian assaults in the maze of underground passages below the hulking Azovstal steelworks. Ukraine needs Ukrainian heroes to be alive. It is principle, he said. An unknown number of fighters stayed behind, but reports by local media outlets suggested more were preparing to accept evacuation into pro-Russian territory. The work to bring guys home continues and requires delicacy and time, Zelensky said. Thank you to defenders of Mariupol. Ukraine gained critically important time to form reserves and regroup forces, receive help from partners. Deputy Ukrainian Defense Minister Hanna Maliar said, they fulfill all tasks, but it is impossible to unblock Azovstal by military means. The steel mill's defenders got out as Moscow suffered another diplomatic setback with its war with the Ukraine, with Sweden and Finland deciding to seek NATO membership. We talked about that yesterday. And Ukraine made a symbolic gain as its forces reportedly pushed Russian troops back to the Russian border in the Kharkiv region. In Donbas, Lviv is hit again. Still, Russian forces pounded targets in the industrial heartland of eastern Ukraine, known as the Donbas, and with the death toll already, many thousands kept climbing, with the war set to enter its 12th week on Wednesday. The eastern city of Severodonetsk in Donbas came under heavy shelling that killed at least 10 people, said Serhiy Haidai, the governor of the Luhansk region. In the Donetsk region, Governor Pavlo Kirilenko said on his Facebook that 9 civilians were killed in the shelling. That's all down here. The western Ukrainian city of Lviv was rocked by loud explosions early Tuesday, while U.S. officials were standing over here. There's Lviv. U.S. officials were standing over here with a, not a Geiger counter because it's not a nuclear strike, with a, the Richter, with the Richter say, come on, just a little bit on the Richter to say that this spilled over into NATO. Come on, we want to go to war. Come on, just attack a NATO person, please. Please attack a NATO country. Come on. Witnesses counted at least 8 blasts, accompanied by distant booms, and the smell of burning was apparent. Sometime later, a Associated Press team in Lviv, which was under an overnight curfew, said the sky west of the city was lit up by an orange glow. Russia pushed back from Kharkiv. Yeah, we talked about that. They got pushed all the way back there. I'm very grateful to you on behalf of all Ukrainians, on my behalf and behalf of family, Zelensky said in a video message. I'm very grateful to fighters like you. Despite their retreat, they still can inflict terrible damage. Mayor Vyacheslav Zadorenko told CBS News that a cultural center used as a distribution hub for humanitarian aid was twice hit in the past week alone. The situation remains critical in 4 villages still under Russian control. They are liberating us from Nazis, the mayor told Pata, mocking Vladimir Putin's excuse for the war in Ukraine. But in reality, they are liberating us from peaceful life that we used to have. And also Nazis. So that's what we see coming out of that. I still like the fact that people, our friends over on Twitter, who have the Ukrainian flag in their bios, if you tell them that there is a Nazi battalion, and it's fairly significant in the Ukraine, they tell you that you're a liar. Let's grab one from Axios. This will be just a brief one. Ukraine ends combat mission at Mariupol steel plant. From Jacob Knudsen. Ukraine said Monday it had stopped fighting at a steel plant besieged by Russian forces in the port city of Mariupol and evacuated more than 250 soldiers through a humanitarian corridor to the Russian-controlled areas. Zelensky said in his nightly address that the evacuation was necessary to save the soldiers who had endured a months-long defense of the plant, though he stressed that bringing them back to Ukrainian-controlled areas requires delicacy and time. Fully capturing the steel plant would largely be a symbolic victory for Russia, as it's already captured almost all of Mariupol after weeks of besieging and bombing the city. Look at all this rubble! Rubble is ours! We have won! Look at all concrete! It would also free up Russian soldiers for the ongoing offensive in the Donbass region, as eastern Ukraine, which has so far largely stalled or has been rebuffed by Ukrainian counteroffensives. So that's a little bit more of the armchair generaling going on from Axios. And yeah, this is the first real big mainstream news that's been discussed about the Ukraine, other than just, oh, they went a little bit this way, oh, they went a little bit this way, oh, they went a little bit this way, oh, look, Kiev still hasn't fallen, oh, they went a little bit this way, oh, they went a little bit this way. But, an actual official surrender is probably one of the biggest developments that we've seen from this particular conflict thus far as we go. So, Mariupol, we hardly knew you. Mostly because the people that were defending you couldn't find you on a map until 3 weeks ago. And that's what we see off of that. Alright, let's go talk about Buffalo. From CNN, Biden will travel to Buffalo on Tuesday following a mass shooting, official says. By the way, I just want it out there to let you guys know that there are still people who buy the narrative that the gentleman in Waukesha was running away from the police at the time. And they're still trying to spread that around. I have a tweet that I posted in the Discord for your enjoyment. There are still people that believe that shit. From Arlette Sains. President Biden will travel to Buffalo on Tuesday to meet with the families of victims after a racially motivated mass shooting on Saturday at a grocery store left 10 people dead, the White House announced on Sunday. Biden told reporters earlier Sunday that he had not yet spoken with victim families and was trying to work out the schedule to make the trip to the area. He also spoke by phone with Kathy Hochul on Sunday. Biden expressed condolences for the families during remarks on the National Peace Officers Memorial Service and said he was receiving regular briefings from his team. No, you misunderstood him. He's receiving regular briefs from his team because he shits his pants regularly. So his team always has, an extra pair ready to go with him. We're still gathering the facts, man. But already the Justice Department has stated publicly that it's investigating the matter as a hate crime, racially motivated act of white supremacy. And by that he means Merrick Garland is going over to McLean and talking to the field agent that was in charge of setting this entire attack up. And violent extremism, as they do, we must all work together to address the hate that remains a stain on the soul of America. Our hearts are heavy once again, but our resolve must never waver, the president said on Sunday. The 18-year-old suspected of opening fire at a Tops Friendly Markets in a predominantly black neighborhood told authorities he was targeting the black community. According to an official familiar with the investigation, the alleged gunman made disturbing statements describing his motive and state of mind following his arrest. The official said he traveled from another New York City county hours away and live-streamed the attack on social media platform Twitch. And by the way, don't think I didn't notice that the feed waited to cut off until after they saw the guy clearly spare a white guy and apologize to him for scaring him. 2 white guys, actually, because he spared the guy that walked out of the office, too. Don't think I didn't notice the timing of that. The Department of Justice is investigating the mass shooting as a hate crime and an act of racially motivated extremism, according to a statement from Merrick Garland. The FBI is assisting the investigation, Stephen Bolongia, special agent in charge of the FBI Buffalo field office, said at a news conference after the shooting. Is Stephen Bolongia the one that wrote the manifesto? No, if Biden gets lost in New York, it's because he went back and tried to sniff a 9-year-old Macaulay Culkin and couldn't find him. Saturday's massacre in Buffalo is the latest high-profile mass shooting in which authorities have said the suspect was motivated by hate, including attacks at Walmart in El Paso, the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston, and the Pulse nightclub in Orlando. Biden had condemned the shooting in Buffalo in a statement on Saturday night. See, you can't talk about the Pulse nightclub because that was a religiously active Muslim, and we like those people around here. Well, at least you guys do. I'm mostly indifferent. But yes, he is already going to Buffalo. He sent his wife to Waukesha. He did go to Kenosha and attended the church that I used to attend myself. But he's already ready to go to Buffalo and tell everybody how awful, terrible this is. From ABC 7 WKBW out of Buffalo, President Brandon and First Lady to land in Buffalo at 10 a.m. A little less than an hour from now, their local time. President Brandon and First Lady Jill, Dr. Jill, are scheduled to arrive in Buffalo by 10 a.m. Tuesday, the White House says. In a full schedule of the day, President Brandon and the First Lady will first visit the Tops in Jefferson, where 10 people lost their lives on Saturday. The pair will then make their way to the Delavan Grider Company Center to meet with the victims' families, police, first responders, and community leaders. The president will deliver remarks at the Delavan Grider Community Center and will depart Buffalo around 2 p.m. That's the schedule. What do you want to bet? This is a speech that tells us all about Ultra MAGA. Bets are open now. From the Associated Press, Biden urges unity to stem racial hate after the Buffalo shooting. President Biden urged unity Sunday to address the hate that remains a stain on the soul of America after a deadly mass shooting in a supermarket in Buffalo, while state officials pleaded for federal action to end the uniquely American phenomenon of mass shootings. Addressing in an annual law enforcement ceremony at the U.S. Capitol, Biden said he and his wife, Dr. Jill, pray for those who were shot by the lone gunman armed with weapons of war and a hate-filled soul and their families. Authorities say a white 18-year-old male in military gear opened fire on shoppers and workers in a supermarket on Saturday, killing 10 people, including a retired Buffalo police officer, and wounding 3 others. Most of the victims were black. Law enforcement officials said Sunday that the gunman had researched the local demographics while looking for places with a high concentration of black people. Where was he from again? Cary, New York? It's amazing. The Google machine knew what I was going to go look for. Conklin. Where is Conklin? I'm just curious. Okay, I guess that is a little bit further than what I thought that was. It's still all the way to Buffalo. I mean, I hate to say it and make it talk about big inner cities, but you'd think that, especially considering the fact that he was probably closer, there'd probably be a higher concentration in the Bronx at this point. I don't know. Our local New Yorker can probably tell me more about that than I can, but I don't know. I would think that that would be a thing, or Albany for that matter. But that is so. Just out of curiosity, I had to go look at this. So because I don't know the New York geography as much as certain friends of ours in the chat are. So this is where he went all the way up pretty much to the Canadian border. Here. From here, Conklin, New York, when the city is right here. And the capital is here. And again, I don't know the demographics of either of these, or the percentage demographics of either of these cities, but or this one here, Syracuse. It just seems like there'd be a decent concentration in Syracuse, Albany, or New York City. And all 3 of these places are closer. There is something here that doesn't add up, if he was indeed truly from Conklin. Something doesn't smell right about this. I'm sorry. Let's keep reading. Oh, we must all work together to address the hate that remains a stain on the soul of America, Biden said at the 41st Annual National Peace Officers Memorial Service honoring fallen law enforcement officers, who he suddenly likes now that BLM is no longer convenient, by the way. Our hearts are heavy once again, but the resolve must never ever waver. Come on, man. No one understands that this is more than the people sitting in front of me, he added. The White House said the Bidens will travel to Buffalo on Tuesday to grieve with the community. Biden, speaking at the ceremony for the second time as president, did not address the calls by New York State officials to end what Brown said was the uniquely American phenomenon of mass shootings. The president also did not mention gun control efforts that have stalled in Washington. Brown expressed frustration that thoughts and prayers and pledges to act are offered after every mass shooting, only to be blocked by some on one side of the aisle. It seems that there are those who believe that owning a gun is more precious than the sanctity of human life, the mayor told NBC's Meet the Depressed. So I think that all across the country, we have to rise up. They have to speak more loudly and more clearly that there must be gun control in this country. This is a uniquely American phenomenon. These mass shootings don't happen in other countries and across the world. Brown said that he would like to see sensible gun control, and I would like to see him sensibly go and fuck himself. House Speaker Pelosi said tighter gun measures are a huge priority for Democrats in the White House. She bemoaned the 60-vote threshold needed in the 50-50 Senate that's made it difficult to advance such legislation. But she pledged on CNN's State of the Union that we're not going away until this job is done. You did it. You found a way to go back and platform onto more gun control in an election year. Goats and Scarabs asked, did you see how close Conklin was to Scranton? No, but we're going to go and look. Holy shit. No, I didn't notice that. Motherfucker, it's right there, isn't it? Although, to some point, that would have involved crossing state lines, and I think that would have been way too much for the FBI to try to coordinate between its field offices at that point. I think the cruising would have been too much. And I like this one here, too, that the mayor of Buffalo. It seems like there are those that believe owning a gun is more precious than the sanctity of human life. No, in my eyes, they go pretty much hand in hand. Now, people who are criminal lunatics, who have spent the night in the loony bin for allegedly threatening to shoot up his school. Number one, under New York law, that should not have flown. That's the first part of this. And the second part is this guy specifically went to places with low gun laws, according to the manifesto, that we're never supposed to read and only take your word for. But according to this mysterious manifesto, he specifically went to places with low gun laws. Because, and I quote, I don't want to have to deal with the fact that somebody who is legally armed may have more than 10 rounds in a magazine. So he's already broken multiple laws. Purchasing the firearm in the first place, although that is a little bit of a law break on the state side as well. Purchasing the firearm in the first place, the extended mag coming across state lines, the body armor coming across state lines, and of course murder. But you know what? Just one more law. Just one more law. Disarm more law-abiding people. Fuck you. If I have something like this come, well, number one, first and foremost, a person wouldn't do something like this in redacted. He wouldn't do something like that here because, well, this is a mostly white area. But number two, all those farm guys that are over shopping at the Piggly Wiggly are probably all carrying. So that's what we see off of that. All right. From the New York Post. Biden hails heroic Buffalo guard who died trying to stop the mass shooting. From Stephen Nelson. President Biden on Monday praised security guard Aaron Salter Jr., who died on Saturday while trying to defend the grocery store customers during a mass shooting in Buffalo. Salter, 55, pulled his gun and opened fire on a body armor-clad suspect, Peyton Gendron, but was shot and died at the scene along with 9 other people. We pay tribute to all law enforcement officers and families who understand what it takes and what's at risk to save and protect all of us, Biden said at a White House event where he presented the Medal of Valor to 15 other heroic cops and firefighters. And that includes paying tribute to Buffalo police officer Aaron Salter, who gave his life trying to save others when a gunman shot and killed 10 innocent people in a grocery store in Buffalo on Saturday, the president went on. Do you think Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens are already going out to try to unearth and dox the criminal records of everybody who died in this? That seems like something that those two would do. He was actually able to shoot the assailant twice, but Kendron had on a bulletproof vest, and Salter lost his life in the process. No one understands more than all of you here today that the pain and anguish those families of Buffalo feel. And look, by the way, there he is with the holes in the window and him being led in cuffs to the police car.